Hello, FedPhoenix fam. I've been home about end of March of last year. This is the end of June of this year, right? April, May, June. Okay, I've been home about 15 months. Y'all know I have my moments. Anyway, and I just want to do an update. A lot of times when we think about reentry, we think about a certain time frame, right? Like a month, 6 months, first year, first couple years. But I think mostly when we think about a person's reentry, right, to society and life and their family and all that after prison, I think largely we think of certain milestones, almost like a checklist, right? Is this person, now they're back, have they, reconnected with perhaps some friends or loved ones? Check. Are they employed or have steady income? Check. Do they have a stable home? Check. And so on and so forth. So I think a lot of times, in our reality, when we think about reentry, we really just think about this like checklist, right, that we kind of have in our heads, or a checklist even that the other person, the former inmate, tells us these are the things I need to do now that I'm home. But I think reentry is so much bigger than that. Since I've been home, I have so much of my life back, right? Um, as far as, my underage child, I of course have full sole custody of. A couple months after I came home, I had, my own residence for me and my youngest child. I have another child who's an adult. I continue to have great relationships with my kids and, some immediate family and a couple of friends. Because I have a very small circle. I'm getting my health back in order, check, 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 right? But there are still times when I have to kind of second guess myself, when I feel a need to kind of almost compulsively, like, hoard, for lack of a better term, random BS items. And mind you, I was only locked up for I did like a year and a half on a 2-year bid, 16 months. But still some of the day-to-day intricacies and habits and that very high stress, depraved environment still linger with me. You know what I mean? There are definitely times where I'm just having casual interactions with law enforcement in my community. Because I'm very community oriented. Our fire department had an ice cream social, which is a community event. And I, of course, made sure that my family and I were there. And, they needed baked good donations. So I baked a couple of cakes and, of course, paid for tickets to attend and all that kind of stuff. And there was an abundance of law enforcement at this event, this community event. And honestly, a couple of them I recognize because they live in my neighborhood. And so for those particular ones that I know as neighbors and, decent guys, I was, how you doing? But a lot of the other ones that I had no clue who they were and I didn't know are these bad guys or these small vindictive people that prey upon, anyone who is an easy opportunity to pretty much victimize with the injustice system, or these regular people. I don't know, right? And when you don't know, the presence of some of these people, I found a bit unnerving. I found a bit uncomfortable. I was thinking to myself, thank God I live in a quiet, small town, suburban type culture, where there's not, in the town I live, a lot of like open drug use and stuff. Because even though I'm off federal paper, I was thinking to myself, if this event was like, in Parkersburg, which is kind of like a overlapping, like connecting small town that's notorious for the public drug crap, I would have to leave. I would absolutely have to leave. Because if there was a realistic probability that a meth pipe or a heroin needle or what the heck ever, is going to be in some random place out here and I may be standing next to it or, sit on a bench next or whatever. And some cop may come by and in that moment, without me even knowing what's going on, go, oh, you dropped that, and try to set me up or whatever. I could not go to that same type of event in a place like Parkersburg because the paranoia of something like that happening would, I would be unable to function and enjoy the event. And I know that probably sounds a little nuts to people that have never been incarcerated, But you got to also keep in mind that prior to my incarceration, as a child, I was diagnosed with PTSD, right? And as an adult, I've had, a very, particularly if you rewind the clock, 15 plus years ago, my younger years of life, childhood, early adulthood, were eventful in the worst of ways, quite often. And so I've had a lot of adult trauma as well. And then add this, the post incarceration syndrome aspect to the PTSD and the trauma. It really, things can get a bit nuts at times. So mentally, most of the time, I'm okay. But there are definitely moments where I just feel really almost like paranoid, and there's no logical reason for it. And I know that. And I try to like calm myself down and redirect my thought process. And sometimes it's difficult for me. And I'm saying this and I'm being very open with you. So when you come home from prison, if you find yourself going through the same things 15 months after you came home, or your loved one still kind of struggling with these things, periodically over a year after they've been at home, understand that it's not terribly abnormal. And it's not something that, I think, as far as like a lifelong situation, I mean, there may be moments throughout life. But I really think, I know in the 15 months I've been home, a lot of the crap, particularly psychologically and emotionally, that kind of came with me out of prison has really dissipated, has really lightened tremendously, thank God. And of course, all the health issues I came home with due to the medical negligence. And thankfully I got out alive. Some people don't. Most of that is completely under control now. So I say all that to say, this is my 15-month reentry update. Now I am trying to find another residence. The place I currently live is just not conducive long term. Now we don't need to move. We're not being evicted or anything crazy like that. But I want to just be somewhere and comfortably and confidently be like, okay, this is where I'm going to be for the next 20, 30 years. And I know this is not that place. You know what I mean? And I don't want to get into reasons and all that, but it is what it is. So I'm definitely in the process of saving up money to relocate us here still, in the same small town, and the same, I need to be close to my mother who I help take care of, and my brother, and of course I need to be close to my adult child, and yada yada. And I want my son to grow up, with stability and roots, and so we would not move outside of our current community anyway. But I need to save up to do that. And I've been looking for apartments, and the number one thing that seems to be a hurdle that I'm having a difficult time getting around, I'm a convicted felon. Some landlords won't deal with that. It's a drug felony. Some landlords won't deal with that. Then I found one that didn't mind that I was a felon. Didn't mind that it was a drug felony. In fact, the lady, the property manager, was very nice. But, and she texted me one day and she said, hey, I'm going to have this 2-bedroom come open. It's right, literally a block away from your ideal location. Yada, yada, yada. And so I get a hold of her and, she's like, oh, you need to come to my office, pay the application fee, do the application. It'll be back in a couple of days. You'll be fine. And I said, you sure it's not going to be a problem? Because I know this particular property management company, there's like corporate, then there's like the local people who deal with the actual properties. And she's one of the local people. I said, you sure it's not going to be like an issue though? I mean, those are really nice. You know what I mean? Really nice. And I would love to move into one. Don't get me wrong. But with me being a drug felon, that's not going to be like a problem. And she said, no, honey. She said, it wouldn't matter if you were a serial killer. It is completely to my discretion if I rent to you, even with you having a felony, as long as the conviction is at least 7 years old. FedPhoenix fam. My conviction was in 2021. This is 2024. My conviction is only 3 years old. I told her this. I said, I know you don't know me, but I can provide impeccable references, both landlord references and community references, respected persons in the community who will vouch for my overall character and that kind of thing. Can an exception be made? And she said, sweetheart, I'm the local person who handles the property management. My power is very limited, and it is strictly under the umbrella of the corporate company who actually owns, these properties that I manage. She said, honey, their policy is the felony conviction itself has to be at least 7 years old. I'm sorry, but I can't rent to you in 4+ years. If you're ever looking for a place, I would love to rent to you. I like your personality. You seem very upfront, very, very relatable, very responsible. But she said, sorry, no dice. So that has been between financially, just the day to day that we all deal with, right? And trying to put back and then keep back because, right? Because as soon as you got something put back, then the car needs fixed, then, whatever comes up. But, between like the financial aspect and the felon aspect, right? It's been, and of course, I live in a nice little community, nice little small town, suburban type of vibe, which means a lot of people are homeowners, and which means that you have private landlords who mostly are really particular about who they'll rent to because of they have relationships with the people in the neighborhoods of the properties, right? And they don't want to tarnish that with any problematic or potentially problematic people. And then you have property management situations where, a local person is doing whatever, but at the end of the day, they have to answer to the great corporate entity that doesn't have a human face, doesn't, there's no consideration for your individual story or circumstance. It just is what it is. So that's a hurdle I'm currently facing with reentry. That's really starting to become a bit frustrating and overwhelming, but I know that I will get past it. And what else pertaining to reentry? As most of you know, I do a lot in my community. I help a lot of people find resources and be able to utilize them. I do that because I want to. It's what I can do to give back to my community that I can do on my own time. Financially costs me nothing, and I have the knowledge base to do. With the FedPhoenix brand, as we have a new logo, by the way. It's much cleaner, much more professional. I love the original logo for the nostalgia and the fact that a wonderful and talented artist made it. But with the uploading and all that, it just hasn't worked out well as far as a brand, the branding aspect. So FedPhoenix, the merch line, I still got the original stuff, on there, but now the new FedPhoenix logo, which if you've been to federal prison, you may find that the F and P to resemble another symbol that you became familiar with while incarcerated. So, because that's like anyway. But yeah, so the FedPhoenix merch line has been updated. There will be a link in the thing. I have not made much progress on the book. We are up to a little over 300 subscribers, which I'm so excited about because we're almost like a third of the way to this potentially becoming monetized. Of course, I'm frequently dealing with people who find me on Facebook or on YouTube or Justice Impact Forum. Big shout out to you guys. Or sometimes there's people I meet and I chit chat with and give them my business card and they're like, hey, my cousin just got indicted by the feds. He needs to talk to you, And I love helping people prepare for prison. I love being able to do that, to give them that peace and that security and just that information and stuff. Several of my clients, once they go to prison, we stay in contact via the core links, or their loved ones stay in contact with me. And it's really a journey, and it really, really drives home the point of the human condition, right? Because most of my clients are regular people. They're people that if I had to get stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean for 5 days with with some random strangers, they're not people that I would be opposed to having in that random stranger group. Some of them are really funny and really smart and really nice. And it just really drives home for me. Not that I wasn't aware, not that I don't preach this all the time, but it really drives home and reminds me the human condition. We are all people. We're all people. So, if you've been charged with a crime, if you've been convicted of a crime, if you've done prison time, if none of those things apply to you, we all want the same things. We all want to be loved and heard and accepted and to feel safe and to feel that we matter and to be appreciated and so on and so forth. And as you get to know people in this very difficult circumstance and the loved ones of, who are also in a very difficult circumstance of these people, it really kind of strips back a lot of the day-to-day kind of muck and mask, right? Because people are in a high stress, very, very sensitive situation, so they're just more raw. And it just amazes me that a convicted felon can be the president of my country. But I, as a convicted felon, won't be accepted to join my son's PTA at his school. even though nonviolent, victimless, yada yada. But I could run for president of the United States. I could have the codes for the nukes. But I can't chaperone a field trip. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And please, if you haven't seen my videos on the human condition and felon disenfranchisement, please check those out. I think that's important. Something I have been running into a lot, though, with the FedPhoenix brand is a lot of people, when they get to prison, they go, "This is not what I expected." And the reason why they're doing that is because a lot of other people, and I will not name names or whatever, I'm not messy like that. But a lot of people consult me and other people who are prison consultants or do what I do, which I call pre-sentence advisement, which is the same thing, different name, same thing. And these other people kind of tell them like, "Oh, Club Fed is fine. You'll be fine. It'll be great. You'll get your meds. Do." And then people are getting to prison finding out that these things that these other people are telling them weren't exactly accurate, and it's a lot worse than they expected. And I'm always like, well, why would you fuss to me about that when I'm the one who, from beginning to end, was 100% honest with you? Should have just listened to me. So that was me patting myself on the back. You guys see that? So, oh, and another thing with my health with reentry, I'm down a little over 40 pounds from when I came home. My back is feeling better. My knees are feeling better. I like I said, not only am I in a better headspace, but I'm in a better health situation all around. So, there's more positive than negative. A close relative, to me, their health is deteriorating a bit and they'll need another surgery soon. And that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot when you're kind of the matriarch of your tribe. But we will get through this because we have to, right? And it's just a slice of our lives. Doesn't just apply to prison. Applies to day-to-day life as well. But so anyway, people have been telling me I need to make more content. I need to get on it. I'm going to make a list here later on this evening of different things, different topics to do so I can be more focused and stuff. But in the meantime, I just thought I would just check in real quick and drop a little video. This is my 15 months reentry, 15 months since I came home from prison. So 3 months post being off of, federal probation. And I would say overall I'm in a really good place. There's ups, there's downs. I got plenty to fuss about just like everyone else on the planet. But overall, I'm in a really good place just mentally and physically. So, and I want to say thank you to the 300 plus, I think it's like 308 subscribers. I'm beyond grateful. I'm beyond humbled that 300 people in the world, 300 people said, yeah, I want to follow her channel. I want to know when there's new content. I want to keep up with this. I want to learn from her. I want to support her. That's incredibly, you guys know I start crying easy, so I'm not going to get into it, but I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And in the description as well will be my Cash App and PayPal if you would like to donate to the channel, donate to my endeavor of trying to get a book together, which I'm so sorry, but we are way behind schedule on that. And just my day-to-day and my reentry, to the brand, to FedPhoenix, to me. Those links will be in the description of this video as well, like they're in every video, as will be a link to the merch line, as will be my email address. If you need to contact me for any reason, I'm here, whatever assistance I can be, I'm more than happy to be. So with that, I wish you all well and good day. God bless.